Hi, this is our seventh video, and these few videos, about 10, 12 of them, they are actually going to focus on the absolute core of entrepreneurship, absolute core of thinking, which is applicable to everyone, not only the entrepreneur. But why we are focusing it towards the entrepreneur? Because when we see 99% of them fail, and with our experience of consulting for all this while, we know exactly where the faults are. The aim of this entire series is not only to take you through thinking, it also is to take you through that how exactly this thinking matters when it comes to an entrepreneur. Why there are some companies that succeed, which you never thought would do that because their idea was a much a lower one than yours, a smaller one, not very high tech, but they succeeded. And there was others who did not. Coming straight away to this particular session, you will see that this is a solo session. I am only going to talk, and I am going to actually focus on something which we have spoken till the previous video. What is macro thinking? What is micro thinking? What is sequential thinking? What is simultaneous thinking? And how do you put it on a timeline? And how do you execute it? And rather than going theoretical, I will take you through a story, a actual one of my experience in the army. This is back in 1997-98. I was somewhere in central India, and I was at a rank where I would be equivalent of a company commander, say about 120, 130 people who were directly under me, and almost about 40 odd vehicles of different sizes, from a motorcycle to a jeep to a gypsy to a 1-ton vehicle, 2-ton vehicle, and the massive gun tractors which would tow the 130 guns. These are those very big trucks that you see. And then I would have the technical staff, the non-technical staff, the administrative staff. There would be the people who would be in command post. There would be the people who would be on the observation post. So it was 130 people all together, and I was told to carry out a training away from unit, all 130 people together. Individually, they must be best in their own work, and collectively, they had to perform. And I was just given the full independence to do it. The place I was given was Lalitpur in central India. And if you just type Chindits and Lalitpur, Second World War stories start coming up. This was an airfield of Second World War, where the famous Chindits of the campaign, which took place in Burma, their training used to go on in this area. And this airfield was used for that. So I was given this area. So I had a massive runway, all abandoned. It was under the army, and no one would be there. And we had to pitch our own tents. The best part was I had a 2 kilometer long runway, which was made of concrete in Second World War, and absolutely fine. So I had a hard surface with me. And then we pitched our tents and we would do the training. No one was there to question me. I was supposed to be there for 3 months. I was the king, and I would plan everything. So, and then there was this training. I would just now pick up one part of the training. I had to train almost about 15, 20 different type of duties that the people perform in war. I'm just going to focus on the drivers. So we had these drivers, and typically in army, a driver is supposed to drive, and he is told that his job is not to open the bonnet, which means that when the vehicle is off road, he is not supposed to do anything. So then the electrical and mechanical engineers and their people who are attached with us, their job is to repair. But then if this guy is there, why doesn't he repair his own truck? Why don't we give him that skill set? No, but army says no, EME will repair. So this guy won't know anything. So even if there is a small fault, the drivers won't know what exactly to do with that. Unless the guy had trained himself, self-trained over a period of time, he would not. So typical driving training in army that time was that the guy will be given. So as per his grade, he is supposed to drive various class of vehicles, motorcycle and jeep. Not every driver can drive every vehicle, and thereafter they all would just be told to drive their vehicles for operations. So they should be able to drive in day, they should be able to drive in the night, they should be able to drive cross country and period. Their mental capacity of 100% was being used, to probably 2% was being used in driving. Rest 98% of their capacity was not being used. And then I said, no, this is not the way I want my drivers to be. I had 40 of them, 40, 45. We have spare drivers also. I think we had about 40 vehicles, 45 drivers. And I said, no, I don't have that sort of a fuel. No one gives army that sort of money that I'll keep on making them driving. I would rather have this driver know everything about every vehicle. And if the emergency comes, he should be able to repair it himself and not be dependent on someone else. So overall, keeping the war in mind and the operational preparedness in mind, so I thought that I might as well have 40 drivers with me who know everything about the vehicle and every vehicle that they are likely to drive, and be their own workshops, be their own mechanics. Why should, unless there is something which is very, very technical, let the experts come in, the EME come in. But till then, no, these guys would do it themselves. So I started thinking about that, and then micro, that at the smallest level, it is the junior most driver. There is also one more important thing that I missed out. Army is hierarchical. So if there is a Havaldar, he is supposed to be the MT, mechanical transport Havaldar. So he will only stand and he will not work. So if there is a Sipahi who is brilliant and who, say, has been a mechanic in his civil life, and he comes here and he starts teaching a Havaldar, so he would take offense. So this means there is nothing called exchange of information and knowledge vertically. There is no exchange of information horizontally. There is no input of information from outside, from the organization. So what we have done is, we have turned all these people into a robo whose job is to drive vehicle and come back. And so if there is an emergency, that guy just doesn't know what to do. He simply stops the vehicle, comes out, ke saab gaadi kharab ho gaya. Vehicle is off-road. So I did not want this. I said, I will use their 98% of the unused capacity of their mind in their own training, in their own work. And why wouldn't they? So I hit upon a novel idea. I said, okay, let me first find out. So when I found out about their knowledge, theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge, and practically there was nothing they could do other than drive. And they would say ABCD of driving: accelerator, brake, clutch, dipper, period. And they know they're driving. So I said, no, that is not what we are going to be doing. And then I had 3 months with me, of which the first 1 month was supposed to be individual training, and the second month was supposed to be the collective training, and third month was supposed to be a collective exercise where 130 people and all the vehicles, they all went out. That's the time, the first month, I said, there is nothing going to be called individual training. I said, we'll only do a different type of training. And I did something which Indian Army had not done till then, because whatever I did, it spread in the army like wildfire, from my unit to the brigade to the corps and to everyone. And thereafter, it became such a mad race to outdo whatever idea they had got. My point was, till 1997, why did no one ever think about it? No one ever thought about it. No one ever practiced this sort of a training that I gave. And this video is all about that training. I requested my CO, there are vehicles which outlive their life, and after that they have to be loaded on a train which takes them to Jabalpur, and then they are disposed of. So our job is to hold on to these vehicles till the time we get the disposal orders from the army headquarters. And once we have the disposal orders, a local railway station, so we hire a bogie and we put it there and the vehicle goes. So we had two vehicles. One is called Shaktiman, which you, if you type in and Google, and you will see that. And the other one is a Nissan, one-ton Nissan. Again, a second World War vintage vehicle, which till almost as the date is about 15 years back, it used to be there, 10 years back. So I requested my CEO that these two vehicles which are lying in the unit to be sent back to the vehicle depot, and they have outlived their life. I said, we hadn't got their disposal orders from the army headquarters. I said, why don't you pick up and permit me to take these vehicles? So the commanding officer was good. So he gave me the permission. So I took a recovery vehicle, and from there we brought one Shaktiman and one this thing. I just kept them on the tarmac. I got all the drivers together, from that Havaldar hierarchical to the junior most. And I told them, I said, there is no hierarchy, there are no ranks, there is nothing. I don't know how much time you take. My requirement is very simple. Not even one nut bolt will get lost because we are on such a massive runway and tarmac. I kept it in the center. I said, the day you people rip this vehicle off to the last bolt, last washer, and the last spring and spread it out here, I said, that's the day I'll come and see it. There was no other mandate given. Army takes hell of a lot of time to understand. They had heard something that is not possible. No one could have ever heard that. नहीं sir, ये कभी हुआ नहीं, कभी हुआ no. I said, there's nothing called नहीं हुआ. I said, you all are here. 45 guys are there. This is one vehicle, Shaktiman, in front of you. Rip it open. You have tools, you have everything. They have everything with them. I said, it is not tire has been removed. You remove the tire, you remove the rim, you remove the nut bolts, you remove the tire, and you take out the tube. From the tube, we take out the nozzle. Everything, I said, I want it separate. And I said, soon as you do it, I will ask you to reassemble it. Just Google and find out that when you talk about these trucks, 14 tonners and 20 tonners, load carriers that you see on the roads, Tata, Leyland and all that, how many components go in that? A Maruti car has 6,500 components. This had massive number of components. I think they took 6 days. But very soon I started realizing that morning when I would put them for training, from the third day, automatically the hierarchy had been reset. There were young guys who started guiding the seniors also what to do. And then there were seniors who did not know anything. They were so happy learning from these people. So the learning started from the junior to senior, senior to junior, peer, seniority. There was nothing. The whole thing, all 45 people were like team, and there was someone who would distribute the task. Okay, you take out the tires and your job today is to just rip open all the tires. Someone would remove the engine and your job is only engine. Someone would only take out the differential and everything. Their job was that. Someone would take out the suspension, tie rods. So everything was split. There was another team which was doing the body, and they would remove every angle iron, everything. There was someone who was doing the driver's cabin. And in no time, in 4 or 5 days, I found that not only was this a very, very organized activity, there was no pen, there was no paper, only instructions going, beautiful teams, all set in between, within that 45 people, everyone having their own responsibilities, and there was no one guiding. I wasn't guiding anything. I prohibited seniority. I prohibited wearing of ranks. Everyone would just wear their overalls and go there. 6th day, I had the brightest faces. And everyone had learnt and they had ripped open this entire thing. It was kept so meticulously. There was someone who knew how to take down notes. There were 2-3 guys whose only job was to keep the diary in their hand, and in which they would write down the sequence in which they had opened it so that they had to put it back. So they had already been told. So someone had already put people over there that their job was to just write down everything sequentially so that they can put. There was simultaneity going on. The whole vehicle was being ripped open. There was this macro thing going on. Okay, this is that big truck which we have to do it. So let us spread it like this. There was a micro thing going on. Everyone knew. There was a guy who knew how to take out the carburetor or the injector that you have in the diesel vehicles. I would go, I would just take out a rim, I would sit there with them quietly on one side, and I would spend as much time with them as possible. There were times I would just get up, go there, and start lifting things. I would also have my hands in grease. So, this macro and micro was not for them, it was for me as well. So, doing that, the amount of things I learnt about a vehicle was surprising, which I didn't know. And it was such a fun learning from this. Ki, ye kya hota hai? What is this? What is this? And 5-6 days of excellent work, the vehicle was ripped off completely, bolt by bolt. We had a grand bada khana that day. We issued liquor. We all sat there and next to the vehicle, and everyone was so happy. And next day morning, we again got, I said, assemble the vehicle back. And there was no panic. Third day, the same vehicle was back in shape. We moved it around, it moved. And then we gave them the second vehicle, 1 ton Nishan. 4 days, the job was done. Thereafter, they thought, what next? They didn't know how I would think. I was having that macro thing of operations in mind, that I have to take them to war. So I again gave them 3 ton this time. I said, now rip it open in the night. No lights permitted, no torch permitted. Whatever moonlight is there, use that. And I do not want any sound. This is one of the most important things for military. You cannot make sound. Sound travels quite far in the night. So we can't be making sound when the enemy is around. That is how it happened. The same vehicle now, they took their time, and the Shaktiman was ripped open completely in the night. It was reassembled, put back into shape in night. The 1 ton was ripped off in the night, again put back. And my commanding officer would visit me once a week. So he saw this activity going on for about twice or thrice in his visit, and he started reporting it to the commander. The commander came there once, and then he started asking the people, and the people gave him a very different feedback. He said, no, I want to institutionalize this training. And thereafter, they started taking up the case with the higher headquarters. Collective training, we were given 1 month. In that 1 month, my entire 40-45 drivers had broken the hierarchy, were working as a team within themselves as per their own respective mental capacities. They had distributed their teams. They had divided people into as per the mental capacity, as per the experience. And there were youngsters who were taking down notes. There were absolutely young soldiers who were heading teams, and not even one instruction was passed by me, and the job was done. This all finished, and this training became a grand success. This is the part 1 of this video. Quickly, I'll come to how did it help me? While we were doing exercises, we had to go and cross a river, a very narrow river, but a river though, with a lot of flow because we were there in monsoons. And during one of those, there is a story called Deafening that I have written. These 2 links of these 2 stories, they are also on my blog. We'll be writing in the description where you can click and actually read these stories. It is one of these nights when we were returning back from the exercise in absolutely pitch dark night. We had to cross this river on a culvert. Culvert is nothing else but concrete slabs with no sides. And it was just about 50-60 meters from the dam, which had released the excess water. And this entire thing was the sound was so deafening that one would go mad, and the water would flow from below the culvert at speeds you can't imagine. So even if a man falls, you forget about retrieving his body. If a vehicle falls, probably it will be washed about maybe kilometer, 2 kilometers downstream. And there, when I was coming with a 1 ton, with my Jeep behind, bang in the center, the 1 ton goes off. Only two drivers. Third one was me. And you read the story, you will come to know what situation we were in. I want to tell you here that training which we gave them, just three of us, I was standing on the edge of that culvert, holding the vehicle, and the driver was working between my feet with the thing so that it does not fall back into the water. And these drivers, they changed the entire tire in such pitch dark night where your left hand couldn't see the right. And there these people changed. So the practical training immediately gets used here. Now you think about the timeline, think about sequential thinking, think about simultaneous, think about macro, think about micro. This has been my life, and this is how I have organized myself. And the stories of 1997. I was 37 years old then. I put the entire practices in business. I put the same thing in the corporate world. I put it in my daily work. I put it in my life, my personal life. And when someone comes, whether it is my son or Shubhankar who is working with me, he came only to learn all these things. In one of these videos, I'm going to be actually asking him to do solo, where he is going to be talking not of the professional side, but on the personal side also, how exactly this thinking helped him. You don't have to read the De Moro books theoretically and thereafter think, okay, yeah, this is what he writes. No, you have to practice it yourself. And here I come to the end of this video, which was actually the seventh. From here, we go to the eighth video, and we are teaching this. We are talking about thinking as a habit, which actually takes you towards success. Thank you so much, and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.